Namaskar and greetings from Intac on International Day of Yoga. Today with Shruti, Dr. Shruti Poddar, whose introduction I will give a little later, we are going to explore how to have an effective morning routine using very Indic and yogic principles and very easy to put into practice best practices. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker. I'm not going to call her guest speaker because she is an inalienable part of Intac, has been with us for many, many years, and convener of 3 districts of Rajasthan, Sikar, Churu and Jhunjhunu. That's Dr. Shruti Poddar. And she's a pioneer of Nada Vibronics, a yogic wellness ecosystem based on Indic vibrational yogic science. She regularly gives talks and conducts workshops on various subjects ranging from leadership through Vedas, Upanishads, and Bhagavad Gita. She draws on principles from these Indian scriptures to scientific explorations of music and ancient Indian sound for curing diseases. In 2007, she founded the Shruti Foundation, which is a charitable and research organization promoting education, wellness, and healthcare, leadership, all these based on indigenous knowledge systems and science. And I'm very, very happy to share with you the latest feather in her cap. She received from the Business World Person of the Year Award on 30th May this year for her work in restoration, conservation for sustainably creating and managing a heritage hotel, spaces for festivals, and other initiatives for heritage revitalization of Ramgarh Shekhawati region in Rajasthan. So, needless to say, Shruti, welcome back again, and we look forward to a great, insightful talk from you.
Thank
All
you.
yours now.
Thank you. Thank you, Manisha. Thank you, Intac. Thank you, Chairman, sir, for inviting me to give this talk on this very, very special occasion of International Yoga Day. I'm happy to be back with you on this special day for the 3rd time. And I'm very, very happy to see a young, primarily a young audience today. Because as the title suggests, the talk is really about attitudes. Today, we are more and more governed by our thoughts and our mind, and more than that, from what we learn from the outside rather than what we learn from the inside. Most of the time, our decisions are governed on what the world is telling us, what we are reading on the internet, what advertisements say, what the pharmaceutical industry insists we should do, even say during COVID times. We were led by insistence and fear from the outside. And I don't know how many of us realized that we were acting purely and at every moment of our life based on fear. Now the question is, before we even begin to approach a yogic attitude, can you ever have a yogic attitude based on fear? So we have to choose, are we truly us, which means united with ourselves, or are we products of fear? Because if we want to remain products of fear, we can never have a yogic attitude to build our lives. So the first function that we have to adopt every waking moment, and from the moment we open our eyes, is the attitude of abhayam, fearlessness. And that is the first word that Sri Krishna uses to describe to Arjun the 26 qualities he needs to be a perfect warrior. The 26 divine qualities that are needed to become a perfect warrior in life. So if you want to build your life, you first have to remove the onslaught of ifs and buts and negativities and insecurities and fears from your life, and that can only come if you resolve to be fearless. You resolve to adopt the attitude of abhayam. So everything begins with your attitude. What you say, what you think, what you consume, what you use in your lives, how you deal with your relationships, how you deal with your work, how you deal with your livelihood, and many, many more things. So everything begins with attitude, everything. So the first thing to adopt is not practices, but attitude. Practices will follow. So if we can resolve, first and foremost, to be fearless of our environment, both outside us and inside us, and to go right to the core of unity within us, which is really the purpose of yoga. Yoga comes from the root sound, yuj, which means unity or to unite. So the whole act of yoga, the whole idea of yoga is unitedness with the self. So to come to unity, unity means one. To come to oneness with yourself means that whatever you do cannot have divisiveness. Whatever you do cannot have duality. While you work with many, many things, many, many people, many, many thoughts, many, many choices in your life, all of it must be analyzed and treated through the core of your being and the truth of your being. And if something doesn't agree with that truth, you should reject it. And that requires a lot of courage, because the collective around you will most often tell you you're wrong when you don't listen to the collective. So the first thing you require is courage to go against the collective. And if you can adopt that in your life, every waking moment, then you are on your way to a yogic life. So let's begin now with how can we begin to use just a few moments every morning, just a few moments to collect ourselves, to purify ourselves, to center ourselves, so that we can be ready to take on every day, one at a time, every day, but also have a larger vision for our lives. Very down to earth, very practical, not esoteric, not something which doesn't agree with your everyday existence, but something which goes alongside every breath you take, every move you make, every work you do. Okay? So, how can we begin? So, what do you think of consuming as soon as you get up in the morning? Cup of coffee? Do you say, Do you say, I've heard so many young people and older people also say, we can't open our eyes till we have our cup of coffee. How many of you say that? Tell me truthfully. We need a cup of coffee and we can't open our eyes. My God, what drug addicts you are. You know coffee is a drug, right? You know it was a cash crop introduced by the Britishers to enslave every neurological network in the world so that you couldn't do without coffee, and you would be so addicted that it would be like they earned, even today, every coffee maker earns a huge amount of money. Tea maker, coffee maker, because it's an addiction. Once you're addicted, if you don't have your cup of tea every morning, or if you don't have your cup of coffee every morning, you will say, I get a headache if I don't have my cup of tea. So you're an addict, right? So can you de-addict yourself? Very important. You can. Why can't you suffer 4 days of a headache? The 5th day you won't have it. So have the courage to suffer a headache for 4 days. That also requires courage, isn't it? So what is it that's natural to your being? Do you know, how many of you know that your body is mostly made up of water? How much water? More than that. So that water is like a flowing river, but sometimes you make it like a pond. You don't give yourself enough water, so the water inside you gets contaminated because you're not allowing the flow like a river. So very often I ask people, do you have enough water? Yes, we have half a glass, 1 glass, many times a day. That's enough to clean our system. So I say, okay, suppose you were to have a bath in the morning. Could you say I completed my bath and cleansed my body with 1 mug of water? So do you require a certain amount of water at a time to cleanse yourself from outside? At least a bucket of water, right? So similarly, you require at least a bottle of water to cleanse your food pipe from within. Imagine the onslaught your food pipe and your digestive tract goes through every single day with all the masalas you eat, all the salts you consume, all the mircha you eat, all the sweets you have, all the chewables you have. Imagine how much water you would need to digest that and to make it flow outside, eject and absorb into your bloodstream. So whatever you do, it's so important to give yourself an internal bath every morning, just like you give yourself an external bath. But most of us stay clean externally but dirty internally. Isn't it? Yes? Are you sleepy? Okay. Internal bath is the key to sattva samshuddhi. That's the second thing that Krishna says in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Abhayam, fearlessness, sattva samshuddhi. Sattva means purity of consciousness. Samshuddhi means self-purification. So you can't be pure in the mind and dirty in the body. It has to go hand in hand. So since we are very earthy human beings with a very developed intellect, we sometimes forget our earthiness in our pursuit of intellect. So let us be true to the soil of our being as much as we want to be true to our spirit and our intellect, because everything is a part of the spirit. Everything is a part of the yogic process. So if you can't keep your body well, you cannot keep your mind well. And vice versa, both. Okay? So let's begin with very basic things. Let's keep our body well. And I can assure you, because for the last 40 years I have not had any allopathic medicines, I can assure you that if you have your 1 liter or 1.25 liters of water at room temperature or slightly warm every morning, wherever you are in the world, you will not fall sick, because you will cleanse your being every single day. And you will nourish your brain cells. Everything needs water. Everything needs water. Even your brain needs water to function well. So please begin your day not with coffee or tea, but with water. That is my special request to everybody in this room and everybody else who may hear me in the future. Okay? Now let us come to another very important question and a very important realization, which we already know actually. How do you experience the world? How do you experience the world? I mean, you are made by some energy from the universe. You are made into what? Atoms, cells, molecules, which lead to proteins, which lead to proteins and amino acids, which make your different tissues, your organs, etc., and your entire body-mind complex. But how does this mind-body complex, how does it experience the world? How do you experience the world? How are you experiencing me right now? Which? What senses?
All the senses, tactile senses, the hearing senses, seeing, hearing,
Yes.
smelling.
Yes. Yes. Do you know what that is called in our language, in Sanskrit? Panchendriyas. Indriyas. Indriyas means your sensory gateways. So the 5 indriyas, Panch Indriya. Huh? So the 5 sensory gateways is the way you experience your life and the way you communicate with the world. These are the 5 sensory gateways through which you are constantly interacting with the world. So when you get up in the morning, are you aware of these 5 sensory gateways? What are you taking in and what will you be giving out through the day? Is a very, very important thing that can help you organize yourself. So what are you hearing? What are you seeing, first of all? Do you look at inside, I have to do this, I have to do this, this is my calendar, this is my reminder, etc. So you begin with a busy mind. As soon as you get up, you start looking at your phone, your social media, etc. Isn't it? But before that, can you not do all this? Can you just look at the sun? Or if you don't have the sun around, can you just look at a source of light within? Or a lamp, a diya. Can you light a diya and look at it for some time to quieten your mind? Your mind is busy even in your sleep. You get all kinds of dreams, all kinds of thoughts, because you don't even sleep after quietening your mind. You'll probably doze off while watching something on OTT or something like that, isn't it, half the time? So in any case, when you get up in the morning, first be with the light. Invite the light within. And then, by inviting the light, look at how you can make your day full of light. So you take in the light and then try to give out the light. So how can you give out the light? Through your intentions first, then through your thoughts, which plan how you will conduct your day. There are many negatives that happen in our lives, many relationship negativities that happen, many work tensions that happen, many anxieties that happen, many deadlines to achieve. We are gripped in a world of anxiety and stress today. Yes? Yes? And we can't avoid it because we have chosen that lifestyle for ourselves. Many of us have chosen to get out of that lifestyle, but a lot of us are gripped in it, which is okay. We are, so we have to deal with it. But how can we deal with it without negative competitiveness? How can we deal with it from a point of light which seeks towards self-excellence rather than competing with somebody else? That is being in the light. When you are working towards self-evolution rather than becoming bigger by making someone else smaller. That's the attitude of the light. And I will just introduce one attitude which the Upanishad speaks of here, which is called the difference between Soshan and Poshan. Two words, rhyming words, Soshan and Poshan. So what is Soshan? Exploitation. Yes. Personal benefit at the expense of something else. What is Poshan? Nourishment. What is the world generally doing today? Social. It's an attitude, right? It's an attitude we develop because of our education system. We are taught to be competitive, to beat somebody else. Our whole education system is like that. It never used to be, but that's the colonial hangover we have today. It's very linear, it's very individualistic, it's very competitive, and that will obviously lead you to feeling jealous of someone who's closely competing with you, feeling negative, because there's no collective effort. There is no circle, we've become straight lines. Our seating is straight lines. Earlier it used to be addas, learning used to be in circles. We have forgotten circular existence. We have become linear. So can we have the attitude of collective? Can we have the attitude of a circular consciousness? It will also lend itself into the way we sit, into the way we interact. Can our working spaces be more circular rather than linear when we are only looking at the person speaking to us, we are only looking at the board, but we are not looking at ourselves, each other. All that makes a difference, okay? So attitude of the light, attitude of the collective is something that you begin with in your vision of light every morning, and that will lead your day. And I'm deliberately saying these things before I'm giving you some breathing practices and some chanting practices, because what happens, we become divided people. We will do all these lovely practices and then we will go back to negative attitudes as soon as we enter our workspace. So beginning with the right attitude, coupling it with certain practices will help us to lead an integral life and every day in an integral manner. So attitude is really important. Sound. What can we give ourselves through sound? We take in beautiful sounds, we can hear beautiful sounds, we can hear beautiful music every morning. Let's listen to some music, or let's exude music from ourselves. Those of us who enjoy chanting, who enjoy singing, can spend even just 5 minutes every morning with music. Or if you think you cannot chant and cannot sing, then you can hear something beautiful. You can hear a chant, you can hear some very, very peaceful and happy music every morning. So let me here, instead of talking, introduce a chant to you. Okay? So how can we give ourselves some wonderful sound and wonderful thoughts through sound? So I will introduce a mantra to you, which is two mantras, which are very beautiful. One is Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva vashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Purnam. What is Purnam? Wholeness. Wholeness. Infinity. Infinite existence. Wholeness is this. Purnam adaha. Adaha means this. Wholeness is that. Sorry, wholeness is that. Purnam adaha. Wholeness is this. Purnam idam. Purnat purna mudachyate. Purna se purna utpanna hota hai. From wholeness, wholeness emerges. Purnasya purnamadaya. Of wholeness, if we take out wholeness. Purnameva vashishyate. Wholeness indeed remains. What does that mean? Everything is wholeness. Wholeness is that. Now that you can think of as the divine. That you can think of as your guru. That you can think of as the mother. This you can think of as we all existences. This you can think of as the guru's shishya. This you can think of as a child that is born out of the mother. So Purnam is the mother, Purnam is the child. You can think of mathematics, of an infinite series. 1, 2, 3, 4 to infinity is Purnam, is infinite. But a subset born out of the series, 1 by 2, 2 by 2, 3 by 2, 4 by 2, is also an infinite series. So as many subsets you take out of the infinite series, you will get infinite series. So everything that comes out of an infinite series will also be infinite. So that's why this is called a Maha Mantra, because it applies to every level of life. From science to very, very practical relationship between two, and so on, and also to divinity and its emanation, which is us. Also to an idea of Surya and Agni, which is a Vedic idea. So Surya is the, say, the father energy, and every Jivatma, which is governed by Agni, is the this. Surya is the that, and Agni that exists within all of us is the Jivatma, or the this. So a mantra like this can apply to everything. So why I'm mentioning this in a morning attitude or a yogic attitude is, do you feel that you are whole every day? Do you remind yourself that you are that infinite consciousness, that possibility of infinity every day? Do you remember that you are Shakti with 10 hands every day? Only if you remember it, you can manifest it. If you don't remember it, if you don't believe in it, how can you even begin to walk on that path? It doesn't matter what others believe of you. It matters what you believe of yourself. So to remember that another Mahavakya, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. What is Brahman? Creator, expansion. What else? Sorry? Universe. Okay. What else? What else? Okay. So Brahman is a word, right? It's a word. It comes from the root brih. Just like yoga comes from the root yuj, Brahman comes from the root brih. Brih means to expand infinitely from a source. So when we say Aham Brahmasmi, most of us will think of it as an abstract term. Acha idea hai, we are God. But are we really? But if you understand the word Brahman, which means there is a source which carries infinite possibility, and as you unfold the reality of your source being, right from the time you're born, you are exploring yourself, isn't it? Every child wants to explore its possibilities. Can I walk? Can I talk? Can I become more beautiful? How do I look? How are my relationships? Can I make something with my fingers? Can I compete? So there is constant exploration of your infinity from the time you are born. Isn't it? Even without realizing it, because that's the nature of Brahman. That is why you are Brahman. But somewhere along the way, you become crystallized by your ego of a smaller self. And that is what makes you feel lesser or more than people around you or things around you. But if you remember your infinite capacities every single day and start walking bit by bit, step by step, towards every impossible possibility, then it doesn't matter if there are hurdles on the way. Because you are infinite, you will find some way from here or from there, because a river can flow wherever it wants towards the ocean. So, Aham Brahmasmi is a very, very important attitude that you must adopt in your lives to explore your own infinity. And every attitude begins with every waking moment. Okay? When I began, she was talking about this award that I got. When I began my work 10 years ago in Ramgarh, I had no money and no idea what I wanted to do there. So now I have a skills center, I have a hotel, I have a residency, I have a museum, and a festival every year, and many, many other things. And of course, we have the intact work going on there. And all of it happens as you flow as a river. Nothing happened with a plan, but everything happened with the surety of a possibility. So as long as you're open to possibilities and you're willing to work hard, there is nothing that you cannot do in your life. And that is the most important attitude, with the most important element attached to it, fearlessness, abhayam. Okay? So coming back to our sound, Purnam, try to be wholesome, try to be infinite, and keep holding on to that attitude. The next thing that I'd like to say, would you like to chant that with me, by the way? Om Purnamada Purnamidam. Can you? Okay, just listen to it once. Let's see. If you can chant it, try to chant it. We have our recordings also. We can share the recordings and you can share it with everyone. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So that's this beautiful mantra. When you heard the Om in the beginning, how did you feel? Anything? Sorry? Energized? Okay. What else? Anything? Nothing? Alert? Okay. Peaceful? Calm? Om is a very powerful sound. Let's not talk about spirituality. Let's not talk about religion. Let's just experience the sound. It's a very powerful sound. And it's a very interesting sound in terms of its structure, how how it's supposed to be emanated from within yourself by your own vocal anatomy. How do we emanate this sound? And what does it do to our body and mind? So Om is like a pyramid of sound. It starts from a wide base, becomes narrower and narrower, and ends at a point, a bindu. Okay? How do you write Om? Don't say it in English. How do you write Om? That's not how it was written originally. Yeah. Yes, that's right. That's the symbol of Om, right? U with a nasal Chandra Bindu, okay? Not a Bindu, Chandra Bindu, right? So if it was only Bindu, we would say Ma. But because it's Chandra Bindu, you are not ending with your lips closed. You are ending with making the sound nasal. That's the secret of how to chant Om. So basically, they say that the Om is centered in the third eye, in the Agnya Chakra, between the eyebrows. That is where U nasal resides. And how do we come to that? We come to that by taking a deep breath, collecting all our energies through a wide sound, narrowing it, and then making it narrowest and nasal so that it starts vibrating here. So basically, you are reversing your energies from the bottom to the top. Normally, what happens with your energies? It goes from the top to the bottom. You are expending your energies this way, normally, this way and outward. Here, what are you doing? You are drawing in and upward. So that's the difference between what happens to your energy when you chant Om. So let's see how we chant Om again. So you take a deep breath, as deep as you can. You can feel your diaphragm expanding, your stomach expanding because your diaphragm expands. Another misunderstanding we have is take your breath into your stomach. Now basically you're not breathing into your stomach, you're breathing into your lungs, right? So the breath never goes to the stomach. The breath goes so deeply into your lungs that your diaphragm expands. And when your diaphragm expands, your stomach comes out. Okay? So that's what it actually means when you say breathe into your stomach. Okay? So breathe deeply till your stomach expands. Okay? And don't make your shoulders tense. Let it go in a very relaxed manner, your breath. And after you breathe in, then you start chanting and letting your breath out slowly and steadily. And how do we let our breath out as we chant Om? This way. So in the end it's becoming nasal, but in the beginning it's not. It's wide, then it becomes narrower, comes to the throat, goes up to the nose when it becomes nasal, and then settles here. Also, in the end, I am making my mouth like a bindu, but not closing it completely. Because if you close it completely, it will become Om, and it will vibrate here. But if you don't close it completely, then it will go up and vibrate here. And that's the goal of the sound of Om. Because that is where the centrality of your neural networks lie. So when you energize this part of your head, your brain, then you are energizing your entire Nadi network, your entire neural network, and harmonizing it for your entire day. Okay, so that's a difference between thinking in English, AUM, and thinking in Sanskrit. So think of the Om in Sanskrit, not in English. Okay? And let's chant it that way. Right? Let's do it together. Again. Okay? Did you all chant or you just looked at me? Who chanted? Tell me. That's good. Did you feel the difference? Could you feel it going up? That's good. So try to practice even 2 minutes of chanting Om every morning. Not more than, I'm sure you can give yourself 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, you will manage about 9 Oms or 12. So try to do that every morning and it will serve you well. Very, very powerful sound. This is called the Pranav mantra, and it is one of the most important seed sounds, seed mantras. It's like a seed sound which affects a particular chakra of your being, the Ajna chakra, Ajna, Agnya, whatever you call it. And this is the command chakra of your body. It is the manager of your mind-body complex. It takes in all the cosmic knowledge, all the cosmic information from your dish antenna above, collects it and then distributes it to all your planes and paths. So how this works is very important for how you lead your life, how you build your life. Okay? So let's do this every morning. It will be very helpful to us. It will quieten our being, it will relax us. Even during the day, if you feel stressed out at any point, just take 1 minute for yourself, quietly, even just go to the washroom, do anything, but just chant 3 Oms with a long, deep breath, and you will immediately feel better. Take a long breath, deep breath, and chant Om 3 times. Okay? How many minutes do I have? You're looking at your watch. Okay. Okay, let me take a few more minutes. Okay? Right. So this is one example of sound that we have. What are the other indriyas that we have? Smell? There was a practice that was there in our culture, is there in our culture, of prayer. You can pray to the light, you can just pray with a lamp, you can pray to a deity. But what have we woven into that system of prayer? We have woven in all the panchendriyas. Agarbatti, flowers, beauty, sight of something we love, even if it's a light. It can be the sun, it can be a candle, a diya, whatever. So we have woven in all kinds of influences for our sensory gateways in an act of prayer. Our life is an act of prayer, committed to that from where we come. We are essentially beings in this universe who are given to a process of evolution by submission to the vast energy of the universe. Because that's the only choice we have. We don't even know how the blood runs from our toes to our head. If we cut a finger, can we grow it? So we don't even know how we operate in our lives, how we breathe, how we function, how our food turns into energy, how our blood moves through our processes, and we think so much of ourselves. So submission, surrender, research, seeking are some of the most intelligent ways of self-development. And if we miss out all that for the attractive temptations we have all around us, then I'm reminded of this wonderful shlok in Isha Upanishad called Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasya Pihitam Mukham Tattvam Pushan Apavrinu Satya Dharmaya Drishtaye. Hiranmaya Patra, the golden mesh or the golden cover. The face of the truth is covered with this golden lid, which is this golden mesh of all the temptations that we have in our lives. Money temptations, power temptations, relationship temptations, etc., etc. So the real truth, the real light is hidden because we are running from pillar to post to achieve this. Tat Tvam Pushan, O fosterer, O nourisher, please remove this golden lid so that I may have the sight of the truth. So at every moment, every morning, let's have a sight of the truth of how you will truly evolve as a human being. And for that, these tools of sound, of breath. Now breath, how can we use breath for ourselves? One, remove the negativities by breathing out, exhaling out with force. It's a yogic practice called Bhastrika or Kapalbhati. You might have already seen it on TV, might have learnt it from Ramdev, might have learnt it from anybody. Basically, this, your stomach goes in and your breath goes out. So the more you can pull your stomach in and breathe out slowly, then fast in 3 cycles. Start with 20 counts, make it 30 counts, make it 50 counts, make it 3 cycles. 1 cycle, relax, 2nd cycle, relax, 3rd cycle, relax. So that's exhaling. You know, people who smoke, people who have affected lungs, there is no surgery that can cure it. The only thing that can purify your lungs, even from the dust you breathe in every day, is this Bhastrika. There is no other cure for it. No other cure. So this kind of exhalation of impurity every morning is very important. And then adjusting and aligning your nervous system through alternative nostril breathing called Anulom Vilom or Nadi Shuddhi. So you begin breathing with the left nostril, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 1, 2, and exhale through the right nostril, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then inhale 8, stop, exhale 16. Okay, so try to exhale the double of what you inhale. Try. If you can't, begin with equal 8 and 8, and then slowly try to increase the time of exhalation. The more you increase the time of exhalation, the more control you will have over your mind and body, because you will learn to order your breath. If you learn to order your breath, you will learn to order your life. Breath is life. Okay? So sound, breath, mudra, touch, very important, indriya. Sitting in mudra, wherever you are, even in a workspace, will give you a kind of holism in your being. You will suddenly find you are less restless. Sit in chin mudra, okay? These two together. There are many, many beautiful mudras, very powerful mudras, which we don't have the scope to demonstrate today, but just a simple chin mudra is good. If you are standing somewhere, if you're listening to someone, join your hands together. Namaste karte hain. Do you know the power of namaste? What's the power of namaste? In terms of the energy of your body. The only part of your body when you are standing which can connect the right side of your body to the left side of your body. There's nothing else in your body that can connect the circuit, right? It's connected here and it's connected here. So when you do namaste, you are harmonizing your energy circuits. When you're standing and talking to someone, instead of waving your hands around like that, if you can do that and stand, you will have more control over yourself. Okay? So use your physical stances in a way that give you more control. Don't cross your hands like this. You are blocking your energy circuits. Don't cross your legs over each other. You are blocking your energy circuits. Try to keep them open and yet harmonized. Okay? So these are some small tips that I wanted to give you. Many more I could, but unfortunately we don't have the time. But I would end with one idea, another idea from the Upanishads, which is prayas versus shreyas. What is prayas? Prayer or prayas is action which has short-term achievements or short-term pleasure. Most of the time what we do in our lives is for short-term pleasure. I enjoy eating masala kulcha. I don't know what it will do to my system, but I enjoy it, so I'm going to have it. I enjoy lots of ice cream, I'm going to have it. I enjoy binge watching movies, I'm going to do it. I'm going to sacrifice my deep thinking, I'm going to sacrifice my deep research. For all these things I'm attracted to. That's prayas. What is shreyas? That which leads to long-term good. So when you think with the right attitude, you will choose shreyas over prayas. Prayas is short-term benefit, shreyas is long-term benefit. So let us decide what we want to choose to build a yogic life. Thank you. So, do we have time? Questions? 3 questions, if anybody has a question.
I think you explained very well, and they have all the doubts clear. So
Cleared?
we
I
go.
hope I didn't lull you to sleep. Sure? Sure you don't have a question about chanting, about practices, nothing? Huh? General Gupta, you have a question?
No, I only want to add,
Yes.
when you said fear, I would say with fear you should not be tormented. You should not be tormented. Don't torment yourself if you have made a mistake
Yes.
or anything that has happened.
Yeah.
So with fear I would add
Yes, certainly.
that
Certainly.
don't torment yourself.
Yes.
Of
Be
what
free
you
of
have done.
guilt. Be free of guilt. Be free of self persecution. assess, don't regret. If you've done something wrong, assess it. Maybe I could have done this better, but I'll do it better next time. Don't feel small about yourself, ever. Always be as large as the universe. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Shruti. We have a very small token of appreciation for you, which I request Chairman to hand over to you.
This is made by our artisans, is it?
These are Bankura horses from Bengal,
Lovely.
West Bengal.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Vishnipur.
Yes, I'm born in Calcutta. Yes, certainly. Yes.
We also have a little, intact jhola for you to carry it home.
Yes, yes.
It's a
Absolutely.
brown
I see that.
jhola,
I
yeah.
see that. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shruti. My personal, powerful takeaway from your talk was that adopt, quote unquote, adopt attitudes before you adopt practices. And this is something which is, it's plain writing on the wall, but probably we all know it also, but it's one of those things which are very dormant in our mindscape. So thank you for making us so effectively cognizant of that, and that was the whole purpose of this talk on yogic attitudes. So attitudes and corresponding actions or execution of those attitudes. We also have some tea for you. Those who are interested, please join us for a cup of tea outside.